Hello crafty friends, welcome back to my channel ClaudiaHendersonCreations. I know it has been over a year since I was last on here with a video, and there was a good reason for that. We had some health issues in the family and I had to take care of that. But long story short, we're doing much better. Things are improving and we're almost back to normal. And I'm back to creating again, so look forward to some more videos to come. And since this is the first one, it was a little bit tricky to get back on track here. So to get started, I just thought I pick some of my favorite pictures that I wanted to scrapbook, and I have a whole stack here. As you can see, these were all, in the old days when you had those penny sales from Shutterfly or Snapfish, and you order a whole bunch and you don't really know which one you're going to use. So I sorted them sort of from our trip to Colmar in 2018, and I will pick through those and narrow them down because this is way too big of a stack of photos right now. But for the beginning, I took those, and then I will also pick a sketch with a lot of photos in it that will help me to get started quicker. But for now, I just have to go and sort through all of these, and I will see which ones I can use and which ones I might toss. And there might be doubles in there, and there might be pictures that are too blurry, so I will sort them out and find a sketch, and then we will go and check out some papers. But for now, let me go through the photos and I'll be back in a moment. All right, so here we are. As I mentioned before, sometimes it's hard to get started when you haven't scrapbooked in a long time. So the easiest way for me is I pick my favorite paper pack that I want to use and work with. I grab some photos that match, and I'm looking for a sketch that makes my life way easier. So having all these things in mind, I'm gonna pick my photos, and then I have to decide which photos of the stack that I sorted out am I gonna use. And that is pretty much the hardest part, to cut them down to see which one do I want to use. So this is a whole stack that I had before, and these are the ones I determined I'm not going to use, and there's nothing wrong with it. Well, some are a little bit blurry, they're not very interesting, or I have used them in previous layouts, but these ones are new, so I'm gonna minimize the rest and just put them aside, maybe use them for a card or like an intro page or something, but for now they're just not going into the book. If I decide later I might just can't part with a few extras, I always can put a flip-flop on there, but for now I think I'm fine. And what I use to determine which one I cut down is I use my sheets, which is a vellum sheet that I cut to a 3x4, which gives me the opportunity to see through and also determine if a photo can be cropped down to the size that I'm holding there. Sometimes the image is too big and it just doesn't work. And I have these in multiple sizes, so 3x5, 4x4, 3x3, and the 3x4. And it really helps to determine, can I crop this and will it look good? Because I have all these photos that I had developed and I'm going to use them. Nowadays I print my own photos, but in the old days, this is how I got them, and so I'm gonna use them. So let's put the photos down according to the sketch that I have laying on my side there. And before we continue, so my photos are not a true 3x4 on the side, but let's look at the pictures here. So as you can see, I have one of these pictures there. That's a different angle. I got that picture in there. I have a similar picture of this piece there. And, so this is how I just ended up sorting them through and thinning them out. And like I said, my photos are not a true 3x4. They are actually a little bit smaller, and let me show you here. So if you put this on there, the vellum is 3x4, but my photo is like 1/8 of an inch all the way around shorter. And the reason being, if I take and want to photo mat those, I use a 12x12 piece of paper, and I can cut this to 3x4, and I get an even amount of photo mats out of it without having to have too much left over of the paper. If I would cut them to the regular photo size 3x4, that means the photo mat would be like 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. It would be way bigger and I would waste a lot of paper. So here we have my photo, which is actually 5 1/4 by 4. So this is not even a true 4x6, and this is how it came from the company when I ordered them, simply because the digital cameras have a little bit of a different format. And when they were printed, they're not true 4x6s. So I might as well just cut those down a little bit too. So my photo that I'm using here is actually 5 by 3 3/4. Okay, now let's look at my sketch. So I got the sketch on the side, and the sketch actually calls for 2 columns of designer paper on the side and then a strip of paper on the bottom. And I figured I'm gonna use the new Bloom Boutique paper from Stampin' Up! That just was released, and it's such a pretty paper. It doesn't really get enough credit online or in the catalog. And here you can see it. It's called Bloom Boutique, and it has these tiny little flowers, but all pages are somewhat gold foiled. And so this one has a little gold foiling on the side with the flowers, and the back side is a regular color, which matches the paper pack. So here we have the white one, which is pretty, but it's a little bit too much white on white. There's a blue one with some little dots of foiling, but I don't really like the blue in that one. The backside is green of that one. And then I was looking at this one here, and it has a little bit too much red. It doesn't really, I mean, there's red in those flowers there, but wasn't my favorite. So moving on, here was another pretty blue one, but again, I don't really want it to blue this time. And then this one was one of the candidates, but looking at it here, it has a little bit too much of a pink tone, even so the red is in the houses and the flowers. And then there was this yellow one, and as you can see, I already cut into it. This was the winner. I think it just elevates the sunny day. It shows off the colors and the housing, some of them, and it's just a pretty nice paper to use. So with this one set, so here you can see again a little bit of the background. So the background is just, you know, regular design paper, no foiling on them. So the next step was, if I take this paper as my focal point, I need paper to use for the strip on the bottom. And I thought about cardstock, and then this is the new Incolor color Golden Glow, and I thought that actually works pretty well with the design paper. So let's get the design paper in here and put this down. And here you can see, so this is the lighter side, and the darker side I would use the lighter side, and I think I like that one very much. Then I have brown, and I thought that brown, actually there's a lot brown in the timbers of the houses, and you know, it's a pretty neutral color too, so that one as a photo mat would work great. And then the sketch calls for a tiny little strip on either side, and this is between the Cajun Craze and the Old Olive. And I was debating, so I cut both. First I cut the Cajun Craze, and I will show you in a moment why I decided not to use it. There's nothing wrong with it. There's a little bit red of the flowers in there, and it would go well, but it just didn't harmonize with my idea. So let's put those photos aside and start putting the papers down a little bit. So I cut the strips according to the sketch, and that's when the sketch comes in handy. You don't really have to think about how to cut things. I didn't follow the sketch to the teeth, but I will show you later what it looks like. So this would be my base page, about 1 inch from the bottom. You have your design paper on the side and the paper that goes across on the bottom. Excuse me. And then I got a photo mat, so this is a matching photo mat in the espresso, the espresso brown, and I really like the combination, so that looks pretty good to me already. And now let's put our photos on there and see what it would like, what it looks like with the photos on top. And you can just leave the photos without an extra matting, It looks pretty this way too. And I normally do not double matte my photos, only if it's like a really standalone photo that I want to emphasize more, but I thought, why not? So the photos, like we know, are cut down a quarter, an eighth of an inch shorter all the way around. So if I put a true 3x4 white matte underneath, you can see it's just a tiny little frame, but it makes the photos pop even more. So I think in this case I will go with the double matting. So I'm gonna put some white mats, and these are actually the photo placeholders that come in your workshop kits. I still have some from Close to My Heart, but Stampin' Up workshop kits have those in too. So if you're not sure what photos to put in, you use the photo mats as the placeholders, and I use them even as photo mats here, so double use. All right, let's see, there's one missing, but yeah, we have to space them out once I glue them down. But I think I already like how this looks like. And the next thing would be to figure out what we want to do for that strip. And as I mentioned, I got the Cajun Craze, and I use the lighter side on with this paper. And when I talk about lighter side, so the paper from Stampin' Up is two-tone too, so you have the true darker color on one side, and then you have a lighter hue of the same color on the other, which is really nice. And what we do to one side, let's try and do this to the other, so it shows you a little bit more what it looks like with the red strip right now, the Cajun Craze, and then we will switch it out to the green one. This is the darker side, and you can see already, let's flip this over, the darker side was a little bit too dark for me, so this would be, and then naturally the strip and on the bottom there. But for now, just let's look at this there. So there's nothing wrong with that. It looks fine, but to me it was a little bit too obvious. So I decided to cut the olive, old olive, and in this case I used the darker side. And right now I can tell you already this is a lot better. It harmonizes better with the photos. There's a lot of green in the photos, and it's a similar green. So just looking at this, I think I will go with the green. And sometimes you have to try it. There's no right or wrong way. Somebody else might say, oh, I like the red one better. Go for it. That's fine. It's just, in my view, I like the green. So that was one thing. So we're pretty good far ahead with our layout so far. There is a strip that goes on top here, but I'm not quite sure what I'm going to use with that because I don't really want another color. So I might use the back side of this Golden Glow paper, which is darker, since I used the lighter side, and go across. And then I thought, well, you know, still something is missing. I want to add something extra to it. There is a strip on the top here, which I probably will not use. I rather just bump up my photos a little bit. But that strip on the bottom here, I want to do something. And then I remembered I ordered this really new, awesome looking embossing folder. And it is called Floral Spray. And it's a 3D embossing folder. It's one of the big ones. And naturally you can't get the entire 12-inch strip in there, but you can just get half of it in there. So that's what I ended up doing. I put half of a strip, half the paper into the embossing folder, centering the flower somewhat on the paper there, run it through my embossing machine, and then I open it back up and I turn the paper around. Yes, the flower will be upside down, and the leaves there do not match up, but and actually it doesn't really show. You don't really realize this when you look at it. What I did match up is there is a little flower that is these little bell flowers, and there's a like a line of vine where they're hanging off, and that one I did match up, as you can see here, and it's really easy to do. There's the vine, and when you do that, it actually looks like one continuous strip. You will not notice that there is a that the leaves do not, you know, match up, but it doesn't really show. And here this one actually overlapped a little bit, but the same thing, you can't really tell with everything going on. And I will put this on the left side so it kind of disappears under. There's a two-tone again. On the left side it will disappear under the photos, so that's fine. So let's put this one underneath here, but I thought it just gives it a little bit texture instead of just being the plain piece of cardstock running across, and I really like it. This is a beautiful embossing folder, and it really gives a nice impression. So, and you can choose if you want the embossed side or the debossed side, so it's up to you. And for the strip that goes on top of this embossed piece, I think I'm gonna use, and I'm just gonna put this in here to see if I like it. This is the back side of the Golden Glow paper. So the embossed strip is the lighter, this is the darker side, and I really like it. I would probably tear the paper on the top so you see the white edge too. And then this goes on the other side here, and I'm really liking this one. So let's see, we're gonna put our papers there, and then actually I got photo mats for these two photos here. What you do on one side I like to do on the other, and again it's also what the sketch calls for. So having a sketch is always easy to work with, especially if you haven't done this in a while and you're kind of like stuck, or you just have a, you know, a rough time getting started. This is really perfect to do. So what I would think is, yeah, I'm gonna rip this piece, I'm gonna cut two strips, and I'm gonna expose a little bit the edge, and then there's a title that's gonna go there, and then the sketch has a cluster here and a cluster there, so I have to figure out, I know what I think I want to use flower wise, but let me see. And I also, I don't know if I want to do some splashing or inking in the background, or maybe just leave it white. We'll see. I will for sure edge around the papers with my Early Espresso ink, or if you're close to my heart person, the espresso ink is similar to that Early Espresso from Stampin' Up. And then I will start putting everything together. So here we have it. I finished off the edging, so I went around each of the papers with the brown espresso ink. I also adhered them, and I added the Golden Glow strip on the top here, where I ripped the paper off a little bit so you can see the white core. I haven't attached the photo mats yet completely because I still want to put my clusters underneath there. And I also added a little brown strip on the bottom because I figured it needed something there. So it's gonna be 2 or 3 clusters. Actually, this one will be the one with the title and 2 others. And I decided I would like to use a couple more flowers. So here's this new stamp and die set. It's called Flowering Meadow, and it's a very pretty flower stamp and die set, and we're gonna use a mixture of stamped images and one that the little that little leaf that I gonna cut out. This one right there, we're gonna use that has no stamp to it. So, and they are a little bit tricky to put together, but once you know how they go together, it's actually not that bad. So let me show you what I have prepared. So I stamped my flowers in 2 colors. One is the Golden Glow, the new Incolor color, and the other one is the Cajun Craze. And the Cajun Craze is 2nd generation stamping, and the stamps are stamped with Mossy Meadow. I like to stamp mine after I die cut them, so I cut a whole bunch and then I just stamp them after, and they go together. Sometimes, you know, it's kind of hard to see, but when you stamp it, you will notice that there's a little piece of ink sometimes missing, and you wonder why is that, because the leaves are gonna overlap them, and I showed them there. So here's the 2 stamp and the 3 stamp, And let's start with the 2-1. So the end of the stems are actually the bottoms of your flowers. And the yellow one's pretty easy. The red one is a little bit harder to see. So this lower little flower petal is, or flower, is the middle stem that you use to adhere. And let's see, here we go. Okay, so you see there are 3 little green ends, and each of them will go underneath one of the flowers. So the lowest one will be the lowest flower in this bunch, and you can actually see this here on the how they line up. This is the stems, and these are the flowers, and you want to put them in the direction as they're shown on the paper, and they just go like this on top of your flowers, of your stems. And I know I'm babbling here, but it's kind of hard to explain. This little piece there, so I put adhesive on the top of each of these little stems, and the pieces where there is no ink. It looks like the stamp wasn't, is faulty or so, but it's actually where the flower is overlapping your stamp piece. So let's put the smallest one on the bottom here, and then that flower that's not all the way open goes on the left. And as you can see, that flower from the bottom overlaps that little piece there where the ink was missing. So that's how I line them up. And if you use liquid glue, you can move them around a little bit better, but that's how they look like. And the yellow ones, the 2 stem ones, are a little bit easier to line up, but the same principle. So if you look at it, same thing. The stem has a piece where there's ink missing, and that is on purpose because the flower petal will overlap that area. And then this is how they are shown on the top of the ink. Oh, I need more coffee. This is how they're shown on your sample there, and this is how you lay them on top of the stem when you get them. So here's the stem, and let's put, it's easier to show than explain. Okay, here we put some adhesive on the tops, and then that stretch where there is no ink, and then you just line up the 2 flowers. So just remember that these little green ends are the bottoms of your flowers, and it's really just hugging the top of these, but they're so pretty. And then the 1 petal overlaps the stem on the left again, so that's why there was no ink, and that's where it pretty much adheres to the stem unit. So there you go. This is how they go together. I know, don't listen to me explaining. Just see what I'm doing, and I can explain it one more time. I have a video for card class coming up where I show this again, how they go together. It's really not that hard. Okay, so my plan was to put 2 on each of the clusters, or in each of the clusters, but I don't really want them just floating in midair. And so I was thinking or debating what colors should I use for a landing spot. I don't really want more yellow, or the green is too much, the brown is too harsh. And then I remembered, wait a second, we have this really gorgeous, it's called wood grain wonder, I think. Let me check. What is it called? Wood grain wonders, yeah. And I'm actually to my 2nd package already. So it's got like a pecan pie and dark espresso, and then we have like a basic beige, and on the other side is, which is kind of like a crumb cake color, and it's a really fine detailed wood grain, and it works with pretty much everything. So I used that one and my circle dies. And if you don't have those circle dies yet, you have to get them. They're a go-to thing. So they're called the Spotlight of Nature dies, and I just saw they are in the new catalog. So they're not retiring. You still can get those, and they're just awesome. They come in so many different sizes, and they have these really beautiful little design details. So one has like a little flower, one is more like a dotted dash line, and then the other one looks like your paper plates that you use, and they're really come in handy. So here you can see I use the flower in this case the one with the flower ending, and they come in the small size up to, I don't know if it's 4.5 or almost 5 inches, so they're really really nice. If you're in for a set of circle dies, go get those. They're really great. So I did a bigger one and two smaller ones, and the bigger one's gonna be the landing spot for my title, and the other two will be the ones that go on the side for my flowers to sit on. And I don't really want this to be that low. We'll see. I don't want to cover up all the detail of the embossing, but I also don't want to cover up the paper, so we'll see. And I don't want them to be in the same height, so you know, you want them a little bit offset. So let's push this one up a little bit, maybe. There we go. This looks good. And then the plan was to put like 2 flowers in each of the clusters, and a couple of the leaves. But let's talk about, let's see how this looks like. So if we're gonna put the flowers here, I could stick them underneath the photo mats, but I like them to look a little bit more like flowers growing straight up. And I got this little stemmed leaf here, and then we will fill in some of the other greens at the end. So let me put these ones here, and I purposely changed the direction of each of those flowers. So in the one I have the yellow flower on the left, here the flower goes on the right, just to mix it up and so it doesn't look too evenly. All right, and then the title. So for the title, I don't really need another bold big title because I already have a layout that addresses the city's name and everything. But I found this one. This is another nice new set. It's called Life in Bloom. It comes with these nice brackets too. And Enjoying the Simple Things of Life is just a perfect title for this layout. So I'm going to use this and the bracket to cut it out. And I used Early Espresso Ink to stamp it. And I think it's just perfect size. Fits right in there. And I think this is my title right there. So it can overlap. You still can see it and it doesn't get lost. And now we can add a couple of flowers to it. And that is the hard part. Where do you pick your flowers? Do you put them there? Do you have them hang on the side or on the bottom? So I'm just playing around with them here. And I'm sure at the end I will move them around a little bit more. But for now, I think I like how this looks so far. So I still would like something to cover up those ends of the stems there, and I could use some leaves here that I have left over. These are cut from the Nature Symphony set, which also is not retired, and it's in the new catalog. And this is one of my favorite leaf sets. I think everybody's favorite. It cuts these really big leaves, these two out, but I just cut mine in half, and I could use those, but the green is a little bit darker green than I would like, and I don't know, it's a little bit too big. So I decided maybe I go back to my dies and figure out a different leaf, and then that's when I found this little guy there. So I cut a couple of those from Old Olive, and I used a little bit of ink, Old Olive ink, and like a stencil brush, one of these little guys here, and added a little bit more color so it looks a little bit more detailed. You don't have to do that, but it just makes it pop a little bit more. And that's how it looks like. The edges are a little bit lighter and the center is darker. So let's place a couple of these there to cover up those flower stems on the bottom. And we could put them like this, or maybe, I don't know, maybe in one direction. I would like something more going down. So let's tuck this underneath the photo there. That looks good. All right. So let's get the other clusters of you too. And I know this is fuzzing around. It's still gonna end up different. I know it. All right, so now that the leaves are down and I get them somewhere where I want them to be, I add a couple of little dots, and these are from a stem set. I have to look up. I will mention it down below. I can't remember which one I used, but just a couple of dots that I put in crumb cake around the flowers and a little bit on the circle, just to give it a little bit more interest. So each of those clusters will get a couple of dots, and that's just randomly wherever I think they might work. And as you can see, I haven't adhered everything down, so just a little bit over there, and then maybe more. And you can just always rotate your stamp a little bit, but the crumb cake will also dry back a little bit lighter, but I think it just works. It's not too harsh. It's just a little extra embellishments, and we're gonna put some here on the paper, and even on the design paper it will show. So let's add a few more there, and then maybe a few more on the side here or on the paper. There we go. So here's the final project, and I'm really happy about it. I did move the title a little bit over, but other than that, everything is adhered down, and I'm really happy. Here is the sketch that I used. So as you can see, I used the 2 strips on the side, the center one here, and I kept the photos. I didn't use the top strip there because I didn't think it was necessary. And this is from the Creative Design Team Volume 6. That's one of the new books that I used there, and it was really fun working with this sketch. So last but not least, I think I add a couple of embellishments, a little bling, and I have these here, and they're called, let me check, Pearls of Beauty, and they're really pretty, but I always wanted to use those Calypso coral ones, but they don't fit, so I'm gonna use the crumb cake or golden ones, and they're just like 3 on each cluster to decorate them a little bit, and they're really nice and flat and just give it a little extra. So other than that, I'm very pleased. Yellow is normally not my color, but I think it works great with these photos, and it was really fun using a sketch, and it wasn't a lot of thinking that I had to do. I was just following along, cutting the paper, and just, you know, making it easy. So if you ever get stuck or haven't scrapbooked in a while, get yourself the paper that you always wanted to scrapbook, find some pictures that go along with it, and make sure you find yourself a sketch to use, and just go for it. It's so much fun, and I thank you so much for hanging out with me today and watching the video. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and leave me a comment what you love about the layout or what you might have done differently. And I will be back with more videos now that I'm back up and running. And yeah, thanks again so much. I will leave in the description below, so just click down below on the little more sign, and you will see all the papers and everything that I used in this video. And there will be some more still shots on my Facebook page, and I try to upload them to Instagram, but for sure on Facebook. So thank you all for hanging in and catching up with me, and I will see you back here with another video next week. And yeah, have a great day, have a great week, and make sure to check out that paper pack, the, what was it called? Bloom Boutique. So overall, here's my layout. Thank you, and I will see you back here soon. Have a great day. Bye bye.